So here is the one thing tonight. This is not an accident. President Obama's radical advisors are there for a reason. They are fighting a revolution, just not the kind with tri-cornered hats. It is a silent revolution. Don't expect the White House to apologize for hiring a self-avowed communist green job czar, Van Jones. If they did, Van might take offense to that, considering that he named his son after a militant Marxist guerrilla. His son is 4 years old, by the way. Besides, why would the White House waste their time, on something like this when liberal bloggers are doing their best to defend Van's good name? And his Wikipedia page, my goodness, it has suddenly and mysteriously been updated to call him, quote, a champion of market-based solutions. Really? The communist is? You see, Van Jones can't possibly be a communist. Take it from a former colleague, Eva Patterson, who is president of the Equal Justice Society. I try to take the quotes on capitalism and say them with a straight face from the Equal Justice Society, but she admits that, yes, for a while there, Van was running around spouting 1960s rhetoric and romanticizing revolutionary icons, but who hasn't done that? Me. That was years and years and years ago, she said. It was a youthful indiscretion. Now, I'm not a mathematician, but I am a thinker. Can you put the quote of Van Jones of his own description of his conversion to communism here on the screen, please? Here it is. In jail, I met all of these young radical people of color. I mean, really radical. Communists and anarchists. And it was like, hey, this is what I need to be a part of. I spent the next 10 years of my life working with a lot of those people I met in jail, trying to be a revolutionary. I was a rowdy nationalist on April 28th, and then the verdicts came down on April 29th. By August, I was a communist, end quote. Well, that was 1992. Plus 10 years, carry the one. I think that makes it 2002. Way, way, way back. Van may have been in diapers still. You know, can you even remember Bush's first term? Nobody can. But Eva, apparently the lone free market warrior at the Equal Justice Society, says she advised Van to, quoting, rethink his tactics. Excuse me? Rethink his tactics and work for change in wiser ways. Notice she didn't say denounce or rethink your communism, just change tactics. Where was the come to Jefferson moment in this change? That word seems to be playing a huge role in America, doesn't it? Especially with revolutionary Marxists. Change. He doesn't have a pivot point. Here's about the only transformation he's ever talked about from a 2005 interview. Quote, I'm willing to forego the cheap satisfaction of the radical pose for the deep satisfaction of the radical ends. This guy is still a radical, just like Cass Sunstein and John Holdren and Carol Browner and Mark Lloyd, and the list goes on and on and on. Now, some in the White House may be uncomfortable calling these individuals radicals or revolutionaries or communist, but I'm not. I'm not. The best thing I can do is ask you, America, are you comfortable with their viewpoints? Like this one. On Friday, Drudge had the story of the 55-page bill proposed by Senator Jay Rockefeller. Oh, here's a good capitalist for you. S773, if you want to look it up. It would allow the president to seize temporary control of the private sector's networks during a cybersecurity emergency. The bill also proposed a federal certification program for cybersecurity professionals. Certain computer systems, where have I heard about the government taking computer systems? Oh yeah, the car thing. And networks in the private sector would have to be operated by those that had that license. And private networks deemed critical by the government shall share requested information with the federal government. 10 years ago, you know, when Van Jones was what, 4? 10 years ago, I may have been stupid enough to go for this, but not after I watched the Bush administration grab far too much power. And now this administration is trying to take control over seemingly everything. We already know how the president's chief of staff feels about taking advantage of a crisis. I'm not really willing to go down that road and give them any more power. America, anybody, is there anybody that is willing to become Gandalf? I think all of us need to be Gandalf from that scene in The Lord of the Rings.
You shall not pass!
I have to tell you, you know, a lot of things are being said about me and the show and whatever. This ain't about me. This isn't about Republicans. This isn't even about Democrats or Obama. This is about Republicans and Democrats and independents that respect the Constitution. They understand freedom of speech. If I get one more letter from one more lefty that yells at me about the Bush administration, well, you know what? What if I was saying the whole time, hey, Bush, take more power? What does it say about you? If you had a problem with it then, why are you silent now? The clowns in Washington are the people that we need to pay attention to. Clamp down on my freedom of speech? Well, then who's next? Republicans, Democrats, and independents. It is time to stop spearing each other in the chest and realize that they're enemies to the Constitution, both foreign and domestic. And right now, it looks like those enemies are taking shape as greedy and power-hungry politicians aided by serious Marxist revolutionaries who now have a big seat at the table at the Oval Office. Two people at the heart of this problem. Diversity czar Mark Lloyd said this: the progressives of today should take a page out of FDR's media playbook from when the New Dealers were battling conservative print media and a conservative Supreme Court to, quote, fix the great debacle of American capitalism. Hello? And he wondered if modern progressives could commit to creating a media policy that actually serves democracy and promotes diverse and antagonistic sources of news. I have this question to ask. Antagonistic to whom exactly? Only Republican presidents and Tea Party protesters? Because I don't think it's more possible to have a more docile source of news than the newscasters are now to this president.